Welcome to the Unclehack Podcast, where dudes pretty much just talk dude shit.
Wow. Another week of the pod. We're back. Good to be here, folks. It's a wonderful day, isn't it? It's beautiful out. The Olympics are going on. We haven't spoken a minute. I can't find where this fucking mouse is. We're enjoying ourselves on this podcast with you today. We'll get into upcoming dates, discuss a little bit about... here we go. All right, upcoming dates. August 10th in Calgary, Alberta. Get your tickets at yuckyucks.com. August 17th, Thunder Bay, Ontario. September 6th in Edmonton, Alberta. September 26th in Comox, British Columbia. September 27th, Victoria, BC. October 4th and 5th in Chicago at the Comedy Bar with Brian Holtzman. October 12th, Fort St. John, British Columbia. October 25th, Red Deer, Alberta. October 26th, Wetaskiwin, Alberta. November 8th, Peace River, Alberta. November 9th, Grand Prairie, Alberta. November 16th will be Danger Fest. It'll be myself, Sam Walker, Brett Forte, and Dan Gyrie, the madman himself and creator of the original Danger Room in Toronto, Ontario. That will be a wild time. If you're out in the Ontario area, I suggest you get your tickets today to that show. That one's going to be a fun one. December 19th, Oxnard, California with Brian Holtzman once again. And January 24th in Slave Lake, Alberta, currently on the docket for the fellas. Wow. Isn't that lovely? We are going hard these days, fresh off of a California swing. First time performing in California. What a treat. What an honor. All four shows were spectacular. Had a wonderful time. San Jose, Brea, Pasadena, and Hollywood. That's right. Your boy was out hanging with some celebs. We were seeing what adrenochrome tastes like for the first time in our life. And by that, I mean it was just homeless drug addicts' blood on the side of the street, and we took turns licking a used syringe. Do I have the Magic Johnson flu or not? We will find out in the near future. Went down to a local clinic, got my blood tested back here in Canada because the healthcare is free, according to Americans. You know, the propaganda that we've spread down there for the number of years saying that our healthcare is free is finally seeped into their brains and they believe it. It really does worry me at times on how little Americans don't know anything about Canadians. Does it worry me? Not entirely. You know, a few that we did speak with, once they learn that you are Canadian, they love to bring up like, well, if Trump, especially in California, it seemed like if Trump gets elected, we're moving to Canada. And it's like, it's not that great right now. I know you guys, the Americans viewed us, I say you guys as if like I'm speaking to them still, but they viewed us for so long as this beacon of hope of a utopian society with this free health care, and you know the transit systems are wonderful in an enjoyable experience, where we have declined drastically. We are one of, I think, the worst performing country in the G7 right now. Economically, it's a gong show, right? The housing crisis that's taken over, many of them. Now the healthcare, it was the healthcare that they were stuck on. And then after review and research, we were able to educate the fine folks down there in California. And once they learned that, you know, them being, I think they're the 5th highest tax state in all of America, and we are from the lowest taxed province of Canada and still pay higher taxes than the state of California. Once they heard that, they're like, what? Huh? What do you mean? I thought it was just, but you got free healthcare. And it's like, well, we don't have free healthcare. We don't. You think that things are free. The idea that it's free, you should hang yourself. No, don't do that. We have the maids program for that up here. Yeah, you can come up. Our medical system now is like, you come in and they're like, hey, do you have COVID? And they're like, no. Do you want it? I guess. Okay, well, we're going to give you COVID. And then the next 4 weeks, we're going to schedule an appointment for a, what's the proper term? An anesthesiologist? I don't know. Somebody's going to show up to your house with an IV. They're going to stab it into your neck, inject it, and you're going to drop dead. Then we're going to harvest your organs and sell it to the Chinese. That's what's going to happen. That's our medical system right now. That's how it's free, is they sell your organs to the Chinese. That's what's going on. Don't quote me, but it was hilarious, the view that they had of it's like, if Trump wins, we hear that so often, if Trump wins, if whatever political leader wins, I'm leaving to Canada. Nobody's crossed the border over. Every year we hear that, if Obama wins, I'm going to Canada. Where are these people? Where are these people? Where are all the political dissidents? Why aren't they here? Plus, they would get over here, especially like a more Republican-leaning individual would get over here and then like start seeing our laws and be like, what the fuck is this? Why did I leave America? For maybe like a left-leaning communist from Berkeley, this is kind of what you're looking for. The censorship of speech, everybody's racist. It was like we're kind of where America was about 6 years ago. And I like I said, we're always 5 years behind the States. We're always 5 years behind the States. And right now we're seeing it live and in action because the rise of hate, they're really pushing that, They're really pushing that. And they're not letting the whole Trump assassination attempt go to waste right now, especially here in Canada. Because there was an angle that they were using saying that the language being used caused an individual to go out and attempt an assassination on a former president, right? They're using the language of like, oh, he's a Nazi, he's this, he's that. And the language that was used could have been a factor that motivated this individual to get on that sloped roof that the CIA and the FBI and Secret Service could not get on, because that's how intelligent this guy was. He's seen a sloped roof and he's like, the only thing that highly trained individuals are not prepared for is a 45-degree angle on a roof, which was that was the only reason he was able to get up there, right? But what I'm getting at is the language that is being tossed around right now, and now Canadian media is grabbing a hold of this and being like, you can't have all this hate speech out there. There's hate speech. Which in the future, this is what they're going to use to try and push Bill C-63 further, the Online Harms Act. Mark my words. I think this will be one of those reasons that they keep going back to, as if like language that we use can motivate others to go and do these insane and just nefarious acts. Nobody should condone violence. Nobody should condone violence, unless, of course, it's in the Olympics and it's men smacking around women, which we're going to get to that later. That is a hot topic right now. We're on top of it. We're covering everything on Twitter. I've had a few days off to just kick my feet up, soak in the media, let my brain twist all out of control, and then run to my own conclusions on why this exists in the media. But the media now, it's been flipped. We used to go to the media to get the information, and now the media is coming to us for information to report on. You know, it's been it's a whole flip-flop going on, especially here in Canada. I'm not too tapped into American media as others are. I love to pay attention to what is being reported on and try and figure out a little bit why. I genuinely sit back and laugh at a lot of the articles that are being produced right now through Canadian media because it is hilarious. You know, right now, one of the major topics that we are discussing in Canada is about South Asians, what they say, you know, in the rise of hate and racism towards East Indians over defecating in public. And recently an image went very viral on Twitter, and it became a point of discussion for a lot of folks to weigh in there to say, I had to get in on that. You know, I couldn't sit back on that one. The image is hilarious. There is a man at a gas pump. His hole is out. His hoop is out. It is exposed. The shorts are down. Some are alluding to that this man was taking a shit at the gas pump, and it's caused, you know, a conundrum online. Some folks are being like, what do you mean? This didn't happen. This was Photoshop. Some are saying like, you know what? He was just changing. This didn't happen. He was wearing pants. A Liberal MP that used to be representing the Brampton area came out, said, I own the property. This didn't happen. This image doesn't exist. And then others, you know, with the speed of the internet, we're going to these sites that will scan the image and tell you whether it was AI generated or photoshopped or altered or not. And it came back that the image was real. So the media had to, because this became such a point of discussion, you know, the media has to capitalize on this, of course, right? Because it can generate revenue. That's why. Literally, that's all the media is nowadays, is trying to generate the last bit of change and scoop the crumbs into their corner. So they have to report on this, and it's hilarious to see the National Post here in Canada having to report on such a topic. Now, here's the headline. Image of man with shorts pulled down at Tim Hortons did not happen, owner says. The racism and hate that's being spread about this incident is disappointing and alarming, says former Brampton MP. And right now, this is a major point of discussion because a woman in Wasaga Beach came forward on TikTok and started discussing the same problem that's happening at the beach. Is people are putting up tents, they're digging holes and taking shits in holes. Now, we covered that on this show already. You already are, but if you're a first-time listener, welcome. We appreciate you being here. And that caused a conundrum online. And then a lot of folks came forward and said she's racist, called her a honky. Turned out she's indigenous. Nothing, you know, like, hey, if there's anybody that should be allowed to shit on the land, I'll be the first to say it. It should be the indigenous. The indigenous should christen the land by pooping on it. But I don't believe that they do that. You know, I don't think that they do that. They hadn't. If nobody's caught them in public pooping in holes, you know. But this has now led to a rise of paying attention to a certain demographic in the country, which is causing people to get a little uncomfortable. You know, the right is being like, get the fuck out of here. The left is like, well, that's just a part of their culture, you know, and then everybody in the middle, they're trying to be swayed to which point or which side of the argument they should be on. And this is what makes it fun. You know, I want to be as centrist as possible while talking about these things because I want to have the most fun with it, okay? I want to be able to sit here and just talk shit about all of it. I don't care at this point. I do not care. I find it hilarious that this is a headline for a publication of The Nation. This is where we're at, folks. Defecating in public is a problem, and we need to discuss it. And no other place to discuss it than the Uncle Hack podcast. A former member of the Parliament says racism and hate are to blame for sparking an online debate about a viral image of a man appearing to defecate at a gas station, Tim Hortons parking lot in Brampton, Ontario. Raj Grewal, who was a Liberal MP for Brampton East from 2015 to 2019, said the image was photoshopped. The image, which has been viewed 8 million times since Monday night, shows a man wearing a bright orange turban bending down beside a black car with his shorts bunched up around his knees. He appears to be holding a cup in the right hand. Now, the image is cut off in the news article because, that's obscene content and we cannot display that on a government funded publication. Holy shit, it took me a minute to get that out. My apologies. We're fresh. It was posted on social media platform X by Harrison Faulkner, a producer at the right-wing media outlet True North. Now, his quote, his caption on the photo was, "Brampton man couldn't just walk an extra 15 steps or 15 yards to the bathroom. Mass immigration is totally working." He is then quote tweeted by Raj saying, "I own this property and it did not happen." See, now this is the 2024 version. You remember when, these debates, these are great debates. These are this is the glue of a society, is having these images circulate on social media and have the town square get together and debate on whether this is true or not. Is this picture real or not? This reminds me of, remember, I believe it had to been 2016, 2017, when we went mental about a dress being blue or gold. Everybody was fucking going mental. We couldn't figure out whether the dress was blue or gold, and it sparked debates. It caused division in families, I believe, similar to a little flu that went around, people were fist fighting in garages. There were suplexes to be had on driveways across the nation. We didn't know whether the dress was blue or gold. And now we sit with a new issue before our eyes. A brand new issue, folks. We can't tell whether this image is photoshopped or not. And thank God for comment sections existing, or else how would we ever get to the bottom of this? I'm glad a Liberal MP stepped up and said, "Hey, I own the property. It's photoshopped." He released a video, and then the other video that contradicts, it looked like it was more of a live photo. When you take a photo and it gives you 5 seconds after the photo was taken, or 2 after, 2 before, whatever it is. And then somebody screen records that, puts it online. And then we're looking at a whole totally different scenario here. We're really crumbling. I'm really feeling it out here. Later on Monday evening, Grewal responded saying he owned the property and that the alleged bathroom break in the parking lot did not happen. It was photoshopped, he said. He called on Faulkner to do better. Yeah, someone just spent 10 plus hours making Hollywood tier edits just to lie about this. You know what? I will sit before you and I will admit I would probably be the guy to put a good solid 10 hours to have a nice running bit like this. It doesn't have to be directed at an East Indian by any means, but anything that'll cause a little disruption online, I think, is necessary. We are too tapped into the internet. we are just locked in to whatever's happening, you know. It got to the point, you know, as we're sitting in Los Angeles in the back there watching a stand-up show. We were watching a show there. We were at Ruby Tuesdays, actually. And somebody, you know, this is how tapped in everybody is to social media, is one of the comics in the back, you know, the Hawk Tuah girl. They were like, I think that girl sitting over there, not the Hawk Tuah girl, but the girl that was in the video with her. That's how tapped in we are, that we're like laser focused on anything that gets a little bit of heat online. We got to know, who is that? What are they doing? What's their names? Where they reside? How many buddies do you got? You know, street interviews. How many buddies? Are you fucking this weekend? Every street interview drives me insane. It's the same shit. Do you suck dick? What color are your panties? You know? It's brutal. These are questions that you asked in the classroom back in grade 9. That's what these street interviews is. We have not evolved at all. 2004, I was asking, hey, what color are your panties today? Are you wearing a thong? Just so I could get semi-hard in a home economics class. Just so I could sit there and fantasize about something rather than not, hey, how do you use the sewing machine? Oh, I'm sitting here thinking about fucking Britney's red thong. That's what I'm trying to imagine. What does the stitching look like? I think I seen the same pair in a Claire's. I think I seen the same pair. Holy Dinah. Oh, I wonder how she would suck me off. Ugh, how many bodies do you got? Ugh. That's where we are, just a bunch of dog brains. I'm not complaining either, because that's where I exist. Intellectually, I'm there. That's where I fall, you know? That's exactly where I need to be. I need to be like dragging my knuckles on the street asking, hey, do you shave your pussy? Excuse me, do you have hair on your clam? Oh man, I can see your titty piercing through her shirt. Oh boy, my tummy is grumbling. I need to eat. That's me. That is me. You can don't look no further. You know, this podcast isn't designed to get folks together to have a massive discussion on the direction of society, how it's going. That's not it. We're sitting here trying to debunk on whether or not a man shitting at a gas pump, the photo, is it real? Is it fake? That's the level of genius behind this art that you are listening to, you know? Oh, God. Brutal. That's what's the annoying part. Now should it annoy? It should not annoy me. It shouldn't, because this is my area. This is where I come together with other folks. You know, you tuning in, you're listening to this, and you're thinking to yourself like, yeah, I don't know, is it fake? Is it hot? How are we going to get to the bottom of this? The article goes on by saying the elder man was not defecating in the open. He was clearly wearing pants, not shorts. Contrary to the photo that was initially shared, the racism and hate that's being spread about this incident is disappointing and alarming, is what Raj tweets on top of this. Out of respect for the senior citizen involved, we are not providing any further comment on this. You know what? Who am I to say anything about shit in their pants in public, you know? Who am I? Well, are we all going to act like we haven't ate something that was questionable? You knew it was going to tear your insides up, but the grease and the fat and the disgusting carbs that you ingest, you think to yourself, like, I know I'm lactose intolerant. I shouldn't have a milkshake, but I'm going to chance it today because I'm feeling a little naughty. I'm feeling a little sexy. And you do that. And you go out in public and you chance it because you're a risk taker. You're an adventurer. And I respect that about individuals. Now, was this guy inside trying out the new flatbread pizza from Tim Hortons? And he got to his car and he was like, oh, this hit me way too hard. I cannot make it back. One step, I'm done. I've had that a few times where you're fighting it and fighting it and fighting it. I almost lost a half-an-hour war one time in the backseat of a car because I refused to speak up. And I knew that I was just counting down the minutes that I would be getting home. You know, you just stay silent. You have to fight your gut. It's in like your chili ring. You're just fighting the diameter of your chili ring the whole time. Sitting in that back seat, pouring sweat. You know, you're counting down the minutes. You're watching the miles clock up. You know that it would be 44 kilometers to your house due to traffic. You're doing quick math in your head. I got 27 minutes. I can fight this for 27 minutes. You're just pushing against it. You know when you see those concerts and everybody is rushing in? I think it was that Travis Scott concert where all those folks just start pushing against the security gate. That's your insides. That's the diarrhea screaming to get out. And your hoop is the last line of defense, and it's 15 senior citizens at the front gate with security fucking wands, making sure no weapons get in here. Meemaw should be retired at home watching God knows what series on Netflix. She should be making phone calls to her granddaughter how does the TV turn on? How do I get to the Netflix? How do I get to the Netflix? And it's like, Grandma, you see the button on the remote that just says N? Hit the N. N? Where's the N? Can you come over here and show me? It's like, I'm at work. I can't come over right now. Well, can I? Let me just FaceTime you. And then the FaceTime, that's an even bigger disaster. Grandma, I need you to point the camera at the remote. And the camera's pointing straight up the ceiling. You just seeing straight up nostrils, and you're like trying to, what? I can't hear you. Holy Christ, this is a conniption. But that's how that right there, that's probably what this poor man was going through, you know? Yeah, sometimes you got to pull your hole out in the middle of public and unleash hell. I've been guilty of it. I've never shit at a gas pump, but I have been known to shit myself in public. You know, a good Sunday hangover after a good night on the whiskeys, and the next day is followed by violence taking place in the porcelain theater. You know, unbelievable. It's a tough life we live, folks. It's a tough life we live. Speaking of tough lives, this poor Italian woman. The Olympics. Is anybody even watching the Olympics? It initially kicked off with, I don't even know what the hell was happening. I open up Twitter, and the first thing I see is like a fat Jesus, a fat female Jesus. Everybody's upset at that. And then you had, Papa Smurf with his hog out. I'm not overly religious, so I don't, they're making fun of the Last Supper. And then all the other religious snobs trying, well, it's not that. They were making fun. Who cares, okay? You religious folks, they would never make fun of Muslims. We make fun of Muslims all the time. What are you talking about? We make a couple jokes. They're shitting at gas pumps. We just made fun of it for 20 minutes. Come on, folks. Lighten up. Everybody gets these jokes. And now the Olympics are under fire over that. It's too gay. The Olympics are too gay. Oh, right. Yes. No. When I see a male gymnast, I think to myself, boy, That guy's probably straighter than a flagpole in the wintertime, right? That's pointing straight up. Come on, folks. And then we move on to the boxing. This is the big one, okay? This is the big one. Everyone now has their 2 cents about that Algerian woman. We don't know. We don't know what she is. Are Algeria... listen, I'm seeing some reports coming out that is a naturally born woman. I believe they call it cis these days. I believe they call it cis. XX chromosomes. But because there's some genetic defect going on that she's pumping out too much testosterone and it registered as XY chromosomes, got her banned from another boxing event earlier, I believe in the year or the year before. And now it's a trans woman. Why are we just not taking into consideration that maybe just the ladies from Algeria are a bit homely? Why are we not taking that into consideration? The Neanderthal women that crawled down out of a cave to go to the Olympics to go knock the shit out of other women, the Italian, hey, I'm trying to get a medal here. And then this Algerian monster just came out of a cave, punched her right in the head, and that Italian woman was like, nope, not doing it. I'm out of here. I'm done. I've had enough. One and done. 43 seconds. Tapping out. Maybe Algeria's just producing some of these thick Helga bitches that we haven't seen in a minute. We used to look at Scandinavian women and think like, holy, that has to be a man. That has to be a man. There is no way that lady can lift 4,000 pounds over her head. That's got to be a man. Maybe these ladies from Algeria are just a little... Did you not consider that? Nobody's considering that? Can't believe you folks. We're always running. J.K. Rowling has to get in the mix and start running her trap, right? This fucking... I'm a woman. I want to thank my team, my coaches. Jeez Louise. Times are changing, aren't they? We're progressing very fast. Back in the 60s, your grandfather used to have to slap your grandmother around in a, kind of a closed off area in the house and not hit her in a manner where she could bruise and start telling people, you got to be able to gaslight her a little bit. Be like, no. That black eye, Martha. She's a silly goose sometimes. She put a tomato soup can at the top of the cupboard, and we were having a little spaghetti and meat sauce, and she likes to put the tomato sauce. She how she makes that. Puts the soup can up there. Well, old fumbles. What happens? The soup can comes down right in the eye. That's why she's got a black eye. You think I was giving her a 1-2 Mayweather in the kitchen? Are you out of your mind? It's 1965. We're better than that now. You can't just smack your wife. Meanwhile, now Grandpa's watching the Olympics and seeing guys throw on a bra and just beat the hell out of them. He's got to be upset. Back in the day, you had to be a little more discreet about slapping the ladies around. Now, you just go in a boxing ring. In the Olympics. Every 4 years, you can sign up and go down and just beat the absolute snot out of a woman. They'll congratulate you, hand you a medal, and you go back to your home country a hero. And you want to say that this isn't progress? How dare you? How dare you? You're out of your minds, people. This is the best it's going to get. This is the closest we're going to get to advocating for men to beat the hell out of women, and you have a problem with it? Unbelievable. I know at least 9 guys we could call up right now, scattered across the country. There's probably thousands of these guys just hanging out in a trailer park right now that have slapped around their old lady for not bringing back a 6-pack of whatever beer was on set. She spent just a little too much money on the alcohol selection, and now she's in for 4 rounds. She's been a sparring partner for at least 10 out of the 12 years of marriage. That guy's battle tested. He knows how women fight back. Why are we not, as a nation, grabbing a few of those guys and throwing them in Paris? We could use a gold medal in the fucking female Olympic boxing, couldn't we, here in Canada? Now just think Canada. How many of them are floating around down in America? I bet you, 20-30% of the prison system has guys for smacking around some ladies, right? These are Olympic athletes that you're depriving of performing on an international stage due to the fact that you can't be progressive enough. And forget what that wizard writing retard J.K. Rowley saying, you can't have a man. Shut the fuck up. Go wave a wand. Make another story about some twink that went to magic school. We've had enough of it. Hang your hat on the wall. It's over. No one gives a shit about some idiot with a lightning bolt scar over his eyebrow. It's done. Millennials have moved on. They have moved on. Now you want to get into the whole trans debate after what? Years and years, a decade of playing fantasy, and you can't dive into the fantasy waters? Get with the times, JK. You're an asshole. I'll say it. I'll say it on this show. You're an asshole for thinking that. You have led millennials on to believe that they are a part of a fake school. And we can't live in reality a little here? We can't let the boys go out and bring home some medals? You bigot. This is all for comedy purposes, by the way. Nobody should take this show ever serious at all, even in the past. I'm trying to really craft this show in a direction that is much needed right now. Mocking the current state of affairs, mocking our political leaders, mocking the whole structure of hierarchy within our societal realm. It makes no sense to me. Talking will be outlawed, so I'm going to enjoy it while I still can. And I want to just say the dumbest, wildest shit I possibly can drum up inside my pea brain. And I don't see a problem with that. Some folks do. Some folks think that, I maybe I'm an academic. They don't think that at all. I'm sorry. I'm breaking character here. Nobody thinks that. Nobody walks up to me and I'm like, hey, what do you think about the geopolitical situation that's happening between Israel? Nobody cares what Uncle Hack has to say about the fucking Gaza-Israel war that's happening. The real war that's happening right now that I'm going to cover on this show, okay, is the invisible war that's taking place that a lot of people are not paying attention to. I don't even think many of you know that it's going on right now. It's under the radar. And you need to know about this. Apparently, I just stumbled across this the other day. I didn't even know it was happening. Apparently, Gen X and millennials are at war with Gen Z right now. I had no idea about this. I was unaware that this war was even taking place, and I wasn't even involved. First off, can we stop? Can we stop? Millennials, okay? My generation. We are not cool anymore, okay? We are not cool. We had our chance and we blew it. What did we do? We kicked our feet up. Many of you, like we just discussed, decided that you wanted to play in Fantasyland on what Harry Potter house you identify best with. You know, you walked around, hey, you muggle. And now reality's settled in. We're all in our 30s and not cool anymore. We don't create any of the new slang that the kids are using. We're outdated. In fact, the only thing that's keeping us relevant right now is Limp Bizkit. And you could even consider that like a Gen X generational thing. Even though we came up with it, it was part of our generation, you know, in the 90s and early 2000s. The new metal era of music has come back. I don't know how much Gen Z is digging their claws into it. Nickelback, we got Nickelback to present to them. That's all we really have right now. And right before our eyes, for some reason, I don't even know why the war is happening. Why are we upset at Gen Z? Nobody has came forward and said why we are what? Because they don't want to follow in the same footsteps that we did. We sat around with the idea that startups was going to be the next big. We had all these startup ideas. Hey, I'm going to create an app where dog owners can text other dog owners. It'll be like Tinder, but the dogs can look at the photos, and if they bark, then we'll meet up for a play date on whatever dog park. And is it bang, bang, bang. Kill me. That's what we spent our time doing. Okay? We didn't curate and mold the future for the next generation coming up could give two shits about anything we care about. We didn't give them any styles. I guess, no, that's a lie. Because I'm seeing the early 2000s style of kind of the skid baggy pants and the tight t-shirts. Remember the wide pants? You get them at like Randy River. I can't remember what the true name is, but those wide jeans, I'm seeing those come back. The 70s fashion is in with Gen Z. We didn't leave much. We left the door actually quite wide open for these guys to just do whatever the hell we want. And it is fun. I will say this. I love watching the realization settle in my era of human beings where we are no longer relevant no more. And you can say that about me. I'm fine with that. I don't want to be somebody that is totally in the mix. I don't want to be mainstream. It would be nice to have a fan base just large enough where you could tour North America comfortably. You know, the idea of mansions and fast cars and expensive watches doesn't get any blood to my cock. But watching the realization settled in to many of these millennials that we are no longer, like, our humor is no longer relevant. A lot of the younger generation doesn't find most of it funny. A lot of that curated nonsense. Because in the beginning, we're kind of the first generation that grew up with the internet. So there's a backlog of what we did wrong. And now Gen Z is able to see like, oh, you don't want to be like that guy. You don't want to be like that guy. We're still going to have stupid individuals that do dumb shit on the internet, i.e. right here. Old stupid. You should go back and look at things and be like, oh, God, I hate it so much. I don't think there's a single video from 2017, 2018 that I look at and be like, that's funny. I shouldn't. There should be an evolution. And quite honestly, I don't think I've created anything in the past year that I'm like, hoorah. I do get a smirk from time to time about the vaccine one. That one gets me. Of it not, I'm not racist anymore because the vaccine. Only racists and homophobes are unvaccinated. That was a fun one for me. I had a good time with that one. But after that, I had a few other sketches. But this invisible war, we should be dumping billions into this. Now, which side? Obviously, I'm gonna side a little bit more with Gen Z because I just want millennials were the ones that annoyed the shit out of me the most. Gen Z's making me laugh harder than the millennials. All those overproduced and tacky videos from back in the day when they resurfaced, you're like, oh God, oh God, and it's very expressive. The drama kids, the theater kids that had just the slight knowledge on how to produce content back in the day are shot to fame. That's how you got like your Logan Pauls, the King Bach, the what was that, Curtis LaFour, all those creators. We're now Gen Z. I love the laziness behind what they're doing. Just a little hip twist and barely lip sync lyrics. I'm for that. I like that. I like no effort. Because our generation, Gen X and millennials, are just complaining. Gen Z's like, this is talent. Like, whoa, talent? There's no talent here at all, but they just believe it. I like it. I like that no one cares and they just destroy everything. It's beautiful. Art is not thriving. AI is coming over. We're using AI. It's all about generating income off social media and stealing people's content and putting your own twist on it. And some video of a guy weed whacking a sidewalk and making the edges all nice. You double it up with that, post it to some other TikTok account. It garners millions and millions of views, and you make $7,000-$8,000 a month repurposing someone else's shit. Genius. Make your money. Destroy it all. Burn it to the ground. I love it. Live art is thriving to a degree. The big name guys are able to charge $150 a seat to go tell jokes. Danger Cats comedy, we're like, bring your ass out for $25. For the love of Christ, bring your ass out for $25. We're getting called all the names in the media because we're telling some naughty jokes across the country. It's a good time to be alive. That's why I side with Gen Z a little bit. I want to strike a match. I want to light a flame. I want to be young again. I want to say no cap and not feel like a pansy. I want to say those things, don't you? I want to perm my hair so it's all curly in the front with that llama hairstyle. And go around and just lift weights and end everything with bro. Hey, bro, you don't even know, bro, how fucking psyched I am, bro. Like no cap on cap. No cap, Steve's font. Italic. You get me? Times Roman numeral. Italic and bold. No cap, son. Get at me, Unc. What you saying, Unc? I want to hear those words. I want to be spoken to in that way. I want in on the war. What do we got to do? I want in on this. I'm not cool anymore. I'm aging. I look my age. I feel my age. I'm tired. It's gotten to that point. The crossover is there. I'm 33 years old. I don't act it. I don't want to act like it. There's an idea in our head of like, you have to be a certain thing at a certain age. There's really these rules, these unwritten rules of life that we're all we're aware but unaware of. Plenty of us seem to think we have this figured out. We're arguing online constantly about it. The millennial women right now, what I'm seeing that have popularity online are preaching this lifestyle of being child free, of living your life, going to concerts and brunch at 11, and trying to project that their life is somehow more meaningful than the individuals that do have children and take their kids to swimming lessons and all that, where I almost, you don't see the women that are mothers. You have the mother content creators that probably their content is getting in front of the eyes of other moms, so they can discuss like the various ways that they're raising their children, and you can steal ideas and hey, this would work for me, that won't. That's the point of social media, is to educate one another on whatever the fuck you give a shit about. And if motherhood is that, congratulations. I wish you the best on your endeavors. I am not here to hate on it, but on the mother TikTok, but the child-free women that are putting the stuff out there, you can see a shallow version of that human behind those eyes, of projecting that my lifestyle is so much better than waking up to. You see Chelsea Handler, I don't got a kid. Look at me. I live the best life. I'm down a ski slope with my tits out. These hangers are just flopping in the wind while I'm hitting the slopes down in Denver, Colorado. Isn't that nice? Nipple so hard I could cut a windshield. I'm over here cutting glass. I'm a glazer at this point in my life. My tits are out. Life is good. No kid has sucked them dry. Just gravity did its work for me. And these ladies are running around trying to flex that somehow their life. Like, I've never looked at a woman skiing down a hill at the age of 55 with her tits out and thought to myself, you know what? That is really what it's all about right there. That lady is ahead of her time. Get me out of here. And somehow it's controversial to say something like that. Watching white women in their 40s now run to the idea of like, oh, I didn't make a mistake, did I? I didn't scare off any potential lover for the future. And that goes for lesbians as well. You know, these ladies that any lover at all, I don't care who you love, but you've pushed off every individual that gave you any time gave you time out of their day, gave you the attention, and your brain is just so poisoned that it push the words that you use and how you speak to these individuals just push them out of your life. And now you use social media to pat yourself on the back as if like, I am in the right place, the right time. My mantra is child-free. Look at me. Tits are out while I ski. And life's good. But I see these the culture war that's taking place of like trying to allow now life. We're going to get philosophical here for a second. I don't think that you got to compare your life to others and make your life seem like it's better. I appreciate people who have a good life and make it look like shit, or if their life is shit and they put it out there, then that's more wholesome to me. You can identify with that. Where when you try to project yourself as a better human being than you actually are, like I'm a scumbag. I was running around the countryside hosting amateur strip contests all through the western region of Canada while starting this, while just regurgitating talking points from a lunchroom from the oil patch. And it garnered this attention because it was, for some odd reason, this brings me back to the speech part in the beginning that we were talking about, is you're not supposed to talk a certain way. You're not supposed to say certain things. And that's always irritated me. I don't understand why you can't just talk. I don't know why we are so driven to criminalize speech and censor one another. I think that speech should be open. And the idea that hate speech exists is concerning because it brings in this gray area. I think the only way you combat bad speech, there's bad speech and good speech. And I think you need just more good speech to combat the bad speech. But a lot of us, I don't think, understand context and tone and intent behind the words. So it confuses us. You confuse comedy for taking it in a literal sense. And now you're left with this idea of what that person said they meant. And they run around, torches out, throw him in the wood pile, put him in the wood chipper. We gotta get rid of this guy. He's saying some things that are a little too truthful. I want his head on a stake. And then I'm gonna fuck his mouth until his eyes pop out. Do you understand me, you son of a bitch? Get a wanted poster out across the country. I want faxes. I want printed copies on light posts. I want tweets. I want Facebook posts. I want it everywhere. And I'm not going to stop until I fuck his severed head on a stake till his eyes pop out of his skull. And those will be the last words to ever leave his mouth, is my semen screaming, looking for an ovary to impregnate. That's how I want my life to end. That's how I want my life. I want folks to be so upset over the words coming out of my mouth that there is a witch hunt for me. That would be just such a high honor in my head. Such a high honor to be chased around in the streets, which we're probably not that far off from. Which is great. And speaking of high honors.
Hey.
Oh, we have, for the first time in quite some time, folks, a fan has finally figured out. Now, I was worried for a while. And the internal temp of the cameras finally went down. I do have a fan coming that will keep this little sucker cool. Just hasn't arrived yet. We're getting there. But a fan has finally sent in a voice note and has figured out how to do it. What a treat. Record a voice note on your phone and email it to me. I'll play it on the show. You don't need to put your name in it. You can just talk. You can say whatever. Keep it short. We don't have all day for you. Okay? We have that for you for the first time in, I believe, about 6 months on the unclehack podcast. Here we go. What does this gentleman have to say?
Hey, Uncle Hack. I really liked the podcast episode about the Pict and
Thank you.
stuff. I was wondering if you ever heard of Pat Carson. He's Alberta's serial killer that's currently still living on his farm doing fucking weird shit. If you look on Reddit and Facebook, there's a ton of information about it. One guy even on Facebook said Pat
very
had him
Canadian
build
accent.
this weird kind of basement thingy, and he didn't really understand what it was for. It had like a sump with a drain, and it was just a small room. And then years later, when he started hearing rumors about the Pat Carson dude, he's like, oh my god, I made his fucking killing room. And he told the RCMP about it, and they wouldn't follow up on it for a long time. And when they finally did, it had all been destroyed or whatever. And yeah,
Or
there's
whatever.
a bunch of information. Check out YouTube, Facebook, and Reddit. There's lots of info on Pat Carson.
We appreciate that voice note you sent us. The check her out on Facebook and fucking yeah, we'll give her a go. We'll take a look into this. We thank you. That episode with the unacceptable Canadian really drug out some fucking folks from the weeds. Let me tell you, I got some pretty odd emails after that. We will be following up with her in the near future. We thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Uncle Hack Podcast. Please, if you like the show, head on over patreon.com/dangercat69. Support us there. And by us, I mean me. Extra episodes out every week. We'll try to. Just got back. So, you know, we're getting back in the swing of things. It's tough to accomplish a lot of this on the road. We're traveling hard and traveling long. Thank you. Tour dates available at dangercatshop.com. Links are down below. Thank you. Take care, everybody.